a safe seat for the New Patriotic Party, but was at a point in time disrupted by an independent candidate by the name Joe Sewusu. Of course, he went on to become a Deputy Speaker of Parliament. But he says this time he is not running again, and he did not run any longer. In his place is another lawyer, a younger one, by name Ralph Poku-Adusei. Guest tonight on Point Blank. Hello, Council. Welcome to Point Blank.
Hi, Salam. Good evening. Thank you for having me on Point Blank.
Yes, and congratulations to you for winning the Bekwai constituency primaries. Of course, prior to the elections, we heard about COP George Mensah, who had been in the news weeks prior because of his run-ins with the IGP and all of that. And we were told that he was very strong on the ground, only to have you beat him by some 600 to 240 or so votes. How did you do that?
Salam, good evening once again, and good evening to your listeners. It's quite a very simple formula. Indeed, the COP came to the race, but I think that it was a bit too late for him to join the race at the time that he did. Because the information that Honorable Oseusu was not contesting again was somewhat out. I think 2 years or 3 years. I think right after the elections, he was quite clear that he's not going to seek a re-election come 2023, 2024, as was initially anticipated. All that time, I was involved in the race. If you look at my preparation towards this contest, it started way back. I think sometime in 2015 that I identified the opportunity that one day I can serve the people of Bekwai. I started putting in place preparation towards that, logistically, financially, and otherwise building the relationship that is necessary to make sure that whenever you enter the race, you are going to be successful. So I think that the timing for the COP to enter the race was rather too late. That is one that accounted for his failure to even come close to half of the votes that I got. In my case...
So if are you saying that if you had come earlier, he could have won? Is that what you're saying?
No,
so it's not necessarily about your message or competence, but because he came in late. Is that the point you're making?
No, winning was out of the contest for him. I had prepared myself all this while for the position that I am now today. In terms of competence, I'm a lawyer. 14 years at the bar, 13 to 14 years at the bar. I've prepared myself to one day lead a constituency. I understand the dynamics of the constituency. I was born into the politics in the constituency. So it had nothing to do with whether he entered late or... I was just giving the response based on the question you asked, making reference to his issues with the police, making him popular, then he now jumped into the politics. That is why I gave you that answer. But in terms of competence, I still believe that I was ahead of all the contestants or the candidates that took part in this contest. So it's not because he entered late that accounted for his loss, but he was certainly not going to win. And when I measured the effort I put in, vis-a-vis the rest of the contestants or the candidates that stood for these elections, I think it is fair to say that it was in place that I won. I have taken up the constituency, or I've taken up the NPP Bekwai constituency up myself to provide financially the support that they have ever required. As far as I can, I've provided it to them. I've been involved in the party activities in the constituency. I've also been involved in other interventional programs, sort of on the level of philanthropy and what have you, to make sure that I contribute to the well-being of the constituency. So if today I'm offered the opportunity to serve the constituency in the capacity as the member of parliament, I think it's in place. It's not out of place. So yes, I am very happy that all my efforts have paid off at this time.
So, of course, we've heard that in running for election in areas like, strongholds, Ashanti region of Bekwai, it's quite expensive to do so. Indeed, Adumaku Kisi, who lost his bid to the second bid to Parliament, said he spent, or you need about 2 million cedis to be able to prosecute a successful campaign as a parliamentary aspirant. To win the primaries. Do you agree with that assertion or that view he expressed that sometimes it can be very capital intensive?
It is capital intensive, especially when you look at the general economic conditions in the country. In places like Bekwai, simply because of the size of the constituency, you have to accept that you are going to be confronted with huge financial implications. Yes, I would agree with Adomako in the regards that you need a lot of financial support to be able to prosecute a successful campaign and what have you. But then if you start early and you are able to get donors on board, and you're able to get sympathizers on board, and you're able to get other institutions or companies to support your bid, how do you do that? You engage them. You explain your vision, why you want to lead the constituency to them. If they buy into your vision, certainly they will provide some financial support.
So where will you put the financial support you require, somebody will require to win a primaries like this in Bekwai? He put it at 2 million for Anyaso to Bekwai may be, more fiercely contested because once you win Bekwai for NPP, the assumption is that, which is indeed a fact, you're in parliament, just a matter of time.
I won't put a figure to it. Reasons being that it's not just the funds you need to prosecute the campaign that matters here. You need to look at the interventions you will make to impact on the lives of the people in the constituency. You must physically, or you must do something tangible in the constituency. For instance, fixing boreholes, fixing toilet facilities, sometimes even having to clear up some roads to make some places accessible. In my case, I did a lot. The things I did in the constituency prior to contesting, if you have to quantify them, then you would be over the roof with the figures. But clearly, it was to demonstrate my capabilities or my abilities to lead a constituency. Now, if I'm not in parliament, this is how the whole contest was. If I'm not in parliament, and this is the extent of the interventions I've made in the constituency, then when I'm in parliament, what should you expect?
So if the MP now, incumbent MP Jose was running, would you have run as well?
Thinking about it today, yes, I would have. And I'm sure he would have lost the elections to me because when you look at the trend of leadership worldwide, you will realize that the youth is dominating, and that would have played against him. So, yes, I would have contested this time. That will remind you, or that will mean that last 4 years ago, or let's say, if you asked me the same question last 4 years, my answer would have been flatly no. But today, if you asked me if I would have contested Honorable Osei, yes, I would have contested him. And I'm sure I would have made an impact.
So are you saying this now because he supported your opponent, COP George Alex Mensah, and then he lost? So you think that, even though he was deemed as a popular force in the constituency, supporting another candidate with that force and power, he still lost. So it meant that if he had run himself, you would have beaten him? Is that the inference you're
In
making?
fact, that is even a fair analogy for you to make. It goes without saying that if he contested me or if I contested him, he would be in the same position as the candidate he supported. It's obvious. But that is not why I'm saying that I would have contested him. I would have done so before the contest. I would have taken that decision before the contest. So saying that, yes, I would have contested him, it can be after the contest. Obviously, what's going to be before the contest? And I'm saying this for very good reason. I would have weighed my preparation. I already mentioned that I started preparing for this contest in 2015. 2016, he was the candidate for NPP. 2020, he was the candidate for NPP. So I sort of observed his style of leadership. I've seen the things he didn't do and the things he did. And then I would have countered them if he had contested in 2023, 2024. So strategically, I have observed, I have understood it, or I well observed what he was doing, and I would have used that against him. And that is why I said that having placed him under surveillance or his leadership under surveillance in 2016, 2020, of course, I've identified certain loopholes or certain flaws about him that I would have used against him that would have put me ahead of him. Unlike me, who has not been in that position for you to observe or for you to actually appreciate or detect about me. So if you went into contest with me, you barely have anything to say about me. And that is what actually happened throughout this whole contest. If you realize it was the executives who supported me that my opponents were concentrating on them, because they have been in the public domain and their lives have been in the face of the populace, and they had something to say about them. In my case, you had nothing to say about me. I am a new person, a new face coming on board. So the only option is that give me the chance and let's see what I'll bring on board. So that worked in my favor. And that same strategy would have worked in my favor if Honorable Osei had contested.
I see. This is the point blank on Eyewitness News. My guest is lawyer Ralph Poku-Adusei, NPP parliamentary candidate for the Bekwai constituency. He beat COP Judge Alex Mensah to the position, and two others, Henry Opoku-Ware and Kingsley Opoku-Ajiman. He's now the candidate, actually. And his father, Ike Poku-Adusei, was the guy, the incumbent MP, Jose Owusu, beat in that particular contest. If you recall, in 2008, Jose Owusu, then a member of, NPP candidate in the constituency, lost. He was not convinced because he felt things were not done well. He ran as an independent candidate and then beat the incumbent MP at the time, Ike Poku-Adusei, in the election. So in the primaries of that election, it was Ralph's father, Ike Poku-Adusei, that Jose Owusu tussled with, and so I'm not quite surprised that his son is coming back to pick up from where he started from. Now let's talk about Bekwai. Let's talk about Ashanti region. The people in your region and in your constituency often have said that the NPP government, has not been fair to them. They've not given them their fair share of development. They voted for the party, all along. They've stuck with the party. They've been loyal to the party. But the party doesn't appear to be interested in developing the Ashanti region. Is it a view that has come up in your rounds when you were preparing or campaigning to this position?
That assertion, I think, is subjective.
It's subjective or objective?
Subjective.
Okay.
I don't think that is a fair or a true state of affairs in the Ashanti region. Yes, I've heard about that complaint, or I've heard about people going about it, saying all sorts. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, we need to look at the NPP government, what it has done for the country, and not specifically for a particular region. If you say that...
what has the party done for the country generally? What has the party done?
I think
apart from maybe free SHS, which still has its issues.
quite a lot. You can name them here. The past 4 years, or let's say from 2018 till date, globally, every economy has suffered a downturn. You had the Ukraine war between Russia, then you had this coronavirus, and every economy was just going down like that. But then the economy in Ghana too went down. But when you look at what is actually happening now, you will see some sort of stability. I will agree that we've had our bad times, but gradually we are bouncing back as economy. So if you don't accept
And you're
that,
bouncing back because of the help of the IMF. The IMF, your party and key persons in your party criticized the opposition for. Said you took us to IMF. The same IMF is the one supporting you today.
yeah, but the decision was taken by NPP to go to the IMF, and it became necessary to go to IMF, and we did go to IMF, and out of that we are now coming back. So yes, you have to also accept that the credit should go to NPP. The reason,
No, but they said it was something they were not going to consider. Indeed, they said we are proud people. We will develop our own country with our own resources. We are not going to the IMF today. We will not go tomorrow. Only to turn around and eat your own vomit. I mean,
it was. I won't even say it was a turnaround. For instance, the circumstances were completely different. Back then, you look at the circumstances that the country was in, and nonetheless, you trying to go to IMF. What for? But then when you suffer a downturn like this coronavirus outbreak, this Ukraine-Russian war, the dollar suffering and the rest of it, and you are now taking a decision to go to IMF, then there's every reason to go to IMF. So it's two different circumstances. So you can't generalize it. That is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, but the point I'm also trying to make in respect of that is the people managing the economy knew all that you are saying and even more. But yet, I mean, they said that they were not going today, they were not going tomorrow because we are proud people, we'll solve our own problems, we do da 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 da. They went, and so that don't you think that dented their credibility, because you told the people you will not go and you berated the other side for going, only to go there and inflicting on the people the worst, form of economic management ever this country has seen in the last 2-3 years. People losing money, DDEP, financial crisis, people losing jobs and investments, a whole lot. Fuel prices going up, taxes. I mean, people of Ghana cannot even breathe. Government looking for the least opportunity to impose tax on people. I mean, it's people have had it to their neck, and so it's not a good story, really. So I'm wondering how you are selling your messages, selling your party's message. Maybe in Bekwai things are fine because it's a stronghold, but you have a hurdle as a party to cross in respect of these challenges I've just enumerated.
I will agree that we have a hurdle to cross. But the point I'm trying to make is that when there is an issue, you would first of all have options. You would have to execute them one after the other. But if it becomes absolute necessary that an option that you detested, an option that you thought you would never embark on, is the only and obvious option, and you resort to that option, I don't see anything wrong with that in the first place. And yes, the issue about this economic hardship was a global issue. It wasn't only in Ghana. So the management of the economy per se had to take decisions that they wish they would never take, and that accounted for the U-turn, as you will call it, going to the IMF and what have you. But then we need to look at the results it has yielded. The decision to go to IMF is not necessary at this stage. Going to the IMF, has it produced some relief? And yes, the answer is that it has brought some relief in the economy. As you are saying that, as soon as I said the economy is bouncing back, you are the person who said that you attributed it to the IMF, going to IMF for a bailout and what have you. So it was a prudent decision for the government to take, because now at least there is a relief. But if we had an option, we wouldn't have gone for the IMF. That is the point I'm trying to make.
Very well. So what do you want to do in Bekwai? I mean, Bekwai, by the help of Jose, who's been put on the map, second deputy speaker of parliament, quite an eloquent, gentle lawyer. You are also an eloquent lawyer. I mean, look like a gentleman as well. What do you want to do for Bekwai? How do you want to see Bekwai in the next 5 years or next 4 years after your first at the end of your first tenure, of first term?
What I want to see in Bekwai is to reduce sort of the reliance of the constituency on the public purse. So we need to create an environment that Bekwai will become self-sufficient, and we can do it. When you look at the dynamics in the constituency, predominantly you have a constituency that is made up of the youth. But then the youth is characterized by unemployment. So what do we do to be able to make the constituency self-sufficient? That is how you look at it from the get-go. So what I propose to do if I should become the member of parliament in Bekwai is, first of all, how can we create a Bekwai constituency that will not rely so much on the national purse? So therefore, we need to look at interventions that will make Bekwai rely on its own resources. That is how I want to see Bekwai in the next 5 years. And how do we do that? We need to look at the potentials in the investment potentials, and then introduce local programs that will yield the results that we want. What are some of them? We need to look at how we can draw investors to Bekwai to set up companies, to set up factories, and make use of the natural resources that we can get in the constituency.
And that's what you told them. That's what you told the delegates, and that's what they believed in before they voted you into this position.
Yes, I made my point quite clear that I want to create a self-sufficient Bekwai constituency, and we can do it.
How do you say about to people who think that you won the position because you paid money out to the delegates? As the case was across the country in many of the constituencies, some we saw on video, etc.
That is far from the truth. Because I think the people in the delegates saw the message that I was promoting.
Your message of self-sufficiency for
Bekwai. They believed in it. And that is what formed the basis for them to vote for me. And indeed, we will achieve that.
Very well. Very well. So what's your last word to your last words to your constituents as we conclude?
My last words will be for them to have hope that the good times are coming, that the self-sufficient Bekwai that I promised to deliver, I will deliver it. And I'm sure they will give me all the support to be able to achieve that. And that is the message that I want to give to them tonight. I want them to have hope.
But this message of, we ran out of time, but this message of self-sufficiency, is it not so too ambitious? What does Bekwai have? You're going to call investors to come set up factories, to come build, to make the people self-sufficient?
That is not over ambitious. That's far from it.
In 4 years, you will do that?
It depends on their efforts. Even if we take agriculture alone and we decide that we want to concentrate on agriculture as a means to create this, there's a lot we can do and there's a lot we can achieve with
Very
that.
well.
So yes, it sounds over ambitious, but it is doable.
Very well.
And I'm sure that with the help of God, we can achieve that.
Very well. That's the voice of lawyer Ralph Poku-Adusei, member of NPP Parliamentary candidate for the Bekwai constituency. He'll be replacing Jose Wusu.